Hi everybody, this is Laura, City Scrapper. Thank you so much for joining me on my channel today. Today I have a layout that I made for a punched out Thursday to Die For. Now unfortunately, the footage of me making the mixed media background was really blurry and so I did not include it. I'm so sorry, it's so frustrating when that happens. So I used a piece of heavy white cardstock. I covered it in white gesso and I used the packaging technique to apply two different colors of Tattered Angels Glimmer Mists. One is called Sun Kissed and the other one is called Golden Sun. I applied two layers of color. I dried in between and then I sprinkled some water on top and used the paper towel to lift up the water, and then that makes some cool effects on the color in the background. It's a very simple mixed media background. I just use the sprays. I'm using this tropical photo that my older daughter Danielle took when she was on vacation in the Dominican Republic this past spring. I printed it on my Canon selfie and it measures 2 3/4 inches by 3 3/4 inches. The photo has a very thin white edge, and then I also put some thick cardstock, the same weight that I'm using for the background paper, behind the photo. I knew I wanted to pop the photo up on some fun foam, and whenever I pop something up off the page, I like it to be on some sturdy paper. I was extremely happy to have some tropical photos to scrapbook. I haven't had tropical photos in a very long time. I'm using some Sizzix dies. They are from a set called Large Tropicals. I used 2 of the 5 dies that were in that set, and you could see those on the layout right now. And then I begin adding some smaller leaves, and I have a whole bunch of tropical leaf dies in my stash, so I took advantage of having this beautiful tropical photo to die cut a whole bunch of different leaves. I used 2 different paper pads for this layout. The one I use the most is called Color Splash. It's made by American Crafts, and it's an entire pad of really bright, beautiful watercolor papers. There's a lot of variation in the colors, and I absolutely love this pad. If I had seen more, I would have bought more. I got it in Tuesday Morning several years ago. I absolutely love it. I picked out some green papers, a bluish green paper, a bright pink paper, and also an orange color paper. And I die cut a whole bunch of leaves out of all those papers. I use another paper pad, just a little bit of it. It's a Smith paper pad. I got it in Michael's a while back. It's called Hot Tropic. So I used the title that's in the lower left-hand corner. It says Tropical Vibes, and that pink matched the pink leaves perfectly. So I liked that title and I like the color. That title is from a cut apart sheet that was in the pad and it was already cut out. So I just mounted on some white cardstock and I made a very thin border of white, and then I popped it up on some foam, and I'm building a cluster on top of the title on the bottom left-hand corner of the layout. Right now I'm arranging all of those die cut pieces around the photo and around the title. I try to be careful to put all of the same colors that I have in the larger cluster in that smaller cluster. For the most part, I'm working from large leaves to smaller leaves. I want to make sure that I have all the larger leaves in place. And then once those were all in place, then I started fitting the smaller leaves around the outside of the larger ones. This pad Color Splash was absolutely perfect for making a tropical layout. All of the colors were so bright and they all went together so beautifully, and I think that the colors really went along with this tropical theme. My daughter took this photo when they were on the beach, and it almost looks fake to me. It looks so perfect. The sky is so blue and the beautiful sand looks so inviting. I just really love these pictures that she took, and she has a lot more. So I'm really happy that I have some photos that are perfect to use with all of those tropical papers that I purchased because I love them, but I didn't have any tropical photos. So I'm really happy to get going on this particular subject. I'm inking the edges just of the leaves that are in the blue-green family. I'm not inking the edges of all of the leaves, but I use some Distress Oxide in Mowed Lawn and Pine Needles to ink some of the leaves. And now I'm happy with the placement of the leaves, so I begin attaching them down to the layout. I'm not popping any of them up, I'm just attaching them directly to the background, and I'm using some ATG adhesive to do that. I start off at the title and I attach down the leaves in that cluster, and then I move on to the larger cluster. I don't include all the footage of me attaching the leaves down. I like where the leaves are, so I am trying to leave them, or I have them. Sometimes when I'm attaching things down, though, especially when there are a lot of layers like this, some of the leaves get moved around slightly because I have to pick them up to put the adhesive on, and then others I change my mind and move them around the cluster a little bit. So now I have everything glued down, and I wanted to add some white splatters. So I cover up my photo. I have a piece of plastic that I'm using to cover it up, and I'm using some watered down white acrylic paint, and I'm splattering the white acrylic paint all around the die cuts. And I find that with the mixed media backgrounds, you often don't see the white. It often gets absorbed into the other layers of color. But when it's put on pattern paper, it just sits on the surface of the paper and it stays really white. And I really like that about these splatters. So you could actually see the white splatters very clearly. I wanted to add some embellishments to the layout. In my stash, I found I had these Paper Studio parrots. A lot of them had colors that I didn't really want to introduce to the layout, and I picked out the two that I thought blended in really nicely, the one all the way on the left on the title, and then the pink one that's up on top. The one that I put on the right-hand side of the layout, I felt that that blue color looked really beautiful on the layout, but it's the only place where there's that bright turquoise blue. So I decided that I was going to use some paint and just paint over the bright blue part of that parrot. I don't think it was absolutely necessary, but it just bothered me that as soon as I looked at the layout, my eye went right to the color on that parrot. I'm adding some Pinkfresh Studio jewels to the background. Before I purchased these jewels, I was wondering if I could just buy jewels at the craft store. They have lots of jewels that are very similar to these. I finally splurged for these jewels, and I found that they are much nicer than the ones that I had bought from the craft store. They look more like genuine stones. I don't know if they are or not, but they are faceted and they add a lot of shine to the background. So I am mainly adding some pink jewels to the background, and I'm using some glossy accents to hold them in place. I find that the gel glue that I use on a lot of my layouts, it does not hold things like this very well, but the glossy accents is a very strong adhesive, and it's suited for this type of embellishment. I added a yellow jewel to the flower that's on the upper right hand corner. That is from a K & Company sticker pack from a long time ago. And then I included another Paper Studio sticker. That's the pineapple that's in the lower left hand corner of the photo. And now I'm using some Momenta paint, and I'm just painting that bright blue color. That blue really is a beautiful color. It's a shame to cover it up, but it was just a little bit too bright for this layout. Now I'm using some more of the paper from that Craft Smith paper pad. I just cut some very, very thin strips. I'm putting one at the top and one at the bottom, and I like the way it has all the colors that are in the layout. And then I thought that I would add a couple more jewels around the layout, and I think that I have enough in the cluster that's around the title, but I thought that I could use a couple more around the larger cluster. So I'm back at it with my glossy accents and these Pinkfresh jewels, and I'm just finding a couple more spots to add those to the layout. And the jewels are the very last touch. That completes this layout, and here are some close-ups. Thank you so much for watching this video, everybody. I really, really appreciate you taking the time to watch this video and watching it all the way to the end. Thank you so much. Please don't forget to take a look in the description box where you'll find links to the channels of all the other scrapbookers who are collaborators on a Punched Out Thursday to Die For. You could check out their layouts or whatever they made this week. Last week, Kathy made some beautiful embellishments, and so whatever paper crafting they did, I'm sure you will love it. And like I said, the links are in the description box. I hope you'll check them out. I also hope that you have a fantastic day, everybody, and I will see you again next week. Take care. Bye-bye.